President Joe Biden called for unity during his State of the Union Tuesday. Coming up, we will see how Arizona politicians reacted to the address.
If you're planning on traveling anytime soon, you may be able to speed up your airport check-in time. We take a closer look at the new system Phoenix Sky Harbor is implementing to make traveling more convenient.
Plus, why Major League Baseball canceled the first 2 series of the season.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Mia Marquez.
And I'm Molly Hudson. Thank you for joining us. President Joe Biden gave his State of the Union address last night against a backdrop of war abroad and economic challenges at home. And Arizona lawmakers gave it mixed reviews, as Cronkite News reporter Alexia Stanbridge reports from our Washington bureau.
When President Joe Biden delivered his first State of the Union address last night, he called for national unity, and representatives from Arizona agreed to disagree.
This is our moment to meet and overcome the challenges of our time, and we will, as one people, one America, the United States of America.
It was part of a sweeping package of proposals that Biden called his, quote, unity agenda for the nation, a call that resonated with Arizona Representative Tom O'Halloran.
We are far better off united than we are divided.
But what sounded like a unifying message to O'Halloran, a Democrat, sounded like, quote, a fiction novel to Arizona Representative David Schweikert, a Republican who said in a statement, quote, regardless of what President Biden said this evening, it doesn't change the fact that we are a country in crisis. While they disagreed on much of his speech, Democrats and Republicans both stood and applauded when Biden praised the Ukrainian people who are defending their country from a Russian invasion.
So let us continue to draw inspiration from the iron will of the Ukrainian people.
With the Ukrainian ambassador in attendance, Biden spent the first 10 minutes of his hour-long speech talking about Ukraine.
I think it started out with the right tone as far as America coming to the support of a fellow democracy and the Ukraine people.
But that was just part of an address that also called for gun control, abortion rights, voting rights, and more Democratic priorities. Priorities that did not sit well with Republicans like Arizona Representative Debbie Lesko. She said in a statement, quote, it is time for him to abandon his far-left agenda and work with Republicans for the sake of our nation and our allies around the world. O'Halloran said he wished the president had spoken more about rural issues, but overall he had little but praise for the president's proposals, even though he knows not everyone may agree with them.
And people are going to have different opinions. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
The president, vice president, and members of Biden's cabinet hit the road today, traveling to different cities to start pushing the president's agenda. In Washington, Alexia Stanbridge, Cronkite News.
The Arizona Senate voted to censure Republican Wendy Rogers. In a 24-3 vote, the state censured Rogers for verbal and written threatening remarks. Rogers has received condemnation for her embrace of white nationalism and calls for violence. In a recent speech, she said that her opponent should face a newly built set of gallows and used anti-Semitic phrases against Ukraine President Zelensky on Twitter. Rogers defended her words as an expression of her First Amendment right to freedom of speech.
I rejoice in knowing I do and say what is right. And I speak as a free American.
The censure motion says Rogers engaged in conduct unbecoming of a senator and has damaged the reputation of the Arizona State Senate by her actions.
The Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport is trying out a new system that allows customers to reserve a spot in the TSA security checkpoint line before traveling. Cronkite News reporter SEDONA MEADOWS is at the airport learning more.
Here outside Terminal 3 is where Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport is holding a trial to see if reserving spots at TSA security will make it more efficient for customers.
Passengers are now able to reserve a spot in line at the TSA security checkpoint up to 72 hours before their flight. The pilot program is currently only open in Terminal 3 from 4 a.m. to 3 p.m. But Eric Everts, a public information officer at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, hopes this will make the check-in process easier for many.
We hope that it is able to make it a little bit more efficient of a process, save some time and stress for travelers who just, rely on coming and going through the airport, not knowing the security wait times and whatnot. So it gives them an opportunity to be able to schedule that time and save some of that time.
The process to sign up is simple as going online and reserving an appointment. Chase Matter, a passenger at Sky Harbor Airport, tried it for the very first time today.
I haven't had clear check or TSA pre-check before, so it allows me to experience it without actually going through those steps initially.
Known as virtual queuing, it is being used at other airports, including Seattle-Tacoma International Airport.
You can reserve a spot for free from anywhere from 60 minutes to 4 hours before your actual flight. So that gives you plenty of time to go grab a coffee and get to your gate. At Sky Harbor Airport, Sedona Meadows, Cronkite News.
Airport lines are only getting longer. Last month, traffic at Phoenix Sky Harbor went up 80% from the previous year, nearing pre-pandemic levels. More than 3 million people traveled through Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport in January. That's 78.6% higher than last year, when there were only 1.6 million travelers. Valley Airport officials continue to see an increase of flyers since the start of the pandemic in 2020. And with spring travel just around the corner, we can expect to see even more passengers in the air. Ash Wednesday marks the start of Lent, a 40-day period where Catholics strengthen their faith in the church. Dozens of parishioners waited patiently for their ashes at the Immaculate Heart of Mary Church in Phoenix. Every year, they return on this day to receive the cross on their forehead, which symbolizes death and repentance. This year, some parishioners felt more confident in their return to church.
I feel like it's a little bit more safer than when it first came out. I really do. And I feel like the majority of people who are going to church have had some form of shot.
I pray every night. I pray to God to help me and take care of my grandkids, great-grandkids.
Many other churches are having similar services around the valley. The next service at Immaculate Heart of Mary Church will be tonight at 7 p.m. in Phoenix.
A new report says there was an increase in children's weight during the pandemic. After the break, we'll show you how one community program is working to fight child obesity.
Plus, how one small owl facing threats could be getting the federal protections it needs again to survive.
Cronkite News is more than your local news station. Through our innovative ideas, we create new ways to connect with our viewers and have their stories be heard. Our cutting-edge technology allows us to take a deeper dive into seeking the truth and delivering new perspectives. Stay up to date on top Arizona stories anytime on TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook at Cronkite News.
It's prime time on your time. Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons, your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS.
Every day I wake up, my first thought is, how can I serve this community?
The biggest hurdle was not taking PTSD personally.
Would you welcome, please, the amazing.
Everybody that watches this, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
Here we go, lights up. Whoa.
As artists, we conduct our educations in public. You can never know whether it's going to be a success. One just has to risk it.
It's you and the work and the place. It's a very particular relationship.
Here's our lens. Tell us what you think.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation released national data in October that found 1 in 6 young people between the ages of 10 and 17 have obesity. I went to a local school garden that encourages children to learn about food and healthy habits from as early as 5th grade. Garfield's Garden on the Corner, a place growing healthy eating habits.
It's a way of instilling the habit young, rather than more modification and having to work on those habits later.
From planting a seed to washing the vegetables, students at Garfield Elementary School are exposed to how food grows, how to cook with it, and ultimately get to eat it.
Then they actually get to see it in the school cafeteria on the menu, which is really exciting. And it also promotes just local food, healthy soil, and that just creates more nourishment for the students.
Paige Mullen is president of the Mullen Foundation, which started in 2008 because they saw childhood obesity turning into a public health crisis.
At the same time, schools were eliminating funding for physical education, and so there was an elimination of PE and recess. And so initially we started by getting kids moving, and then we integrated some nutrition education.
Jamie Bissell with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation says, like so many things, COVID-19 has impacted childhood obesity.
In many ways, the childhood obesity epidemic and the COVID-19 pandemic have exacerbated one another, and that childhood obesity really is a symptom of all the larger challenges that families face in their communities, and it's a sign that our policies are failing our kids.
Bissell says compared to the national data, Arizona statistics on childhood obesity are significantly lower. Nationally, more than 16% of children are considered obese, but Arizona's rate is just over 10%. That's 6% lower than the national average. Bissell says Arizona is doing something right.
Arizona should certainly celebrate. Arizona is 50 out of 51 in terms of, doing the best.
Bissell says there's still a lot that can be done in both policy and practice, but she says it is a good idea to start healthy behaviors young.
I think we need to be thinking bigger and bolder about lasting solutions to ensure that every child in America has a fair and just shot at growing up as healthy as possible.
And for the young kids at Garfield Elementary School, Mullen says they are excited, work together, and apply what they learn.
When you see them sharing that with somebody else and kind of mentoring somebody else, that is, it's really beautiful to see that.
Not enough activity and too many calories from food and drinks are said to be the main causes of childhood obesity. Limiting screen time to 2 hours per day and replacing soda with water are just 2 examples of healthy habits.
A tiny desert owl that lives in Arizona and the Sonora could be getting the protection it needs from growing threats in the environment. Environmental advocates are pushing to get the ferruginous pygmy owl listed under the Endangered Species Act. It was taken off nearly 15 years ago. Last year, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service proposed listing the owl as a threatened species throughout its range in Arizona, Sonora, Texas, and parts of Mexico. Factors of habitat loss, invasive species, and impacts of climate change have impacted the owl's future existence. The service has until the end of the year to make a final decision. Today was a hot one here in the Valley, but this weekend may see a different story. Peyton Major is in the Weather Center now with more.
Yes, it's been a warm Wednesday for us here in the Valley, and that's because of this ridge of high pressure that's over the western portion of the U.S. We have 2 low pressure systems affecting us as soon as Friday. Friday, we actually will see some scattered showers across the Valley. Nothing too crazy, but Saturday, we actually will see another round of a low pressure system coming through, bringing snow levels down to 5,000 feet and possibly a few showers on the Valley floor. We've had quite the roller coaster of temperatures so far this year, but actually we are 61 days into 2022 and we're trending pretty hot. 39 of those days have been above average, and this is quite high compared to previous years. Just last year at this time, we were at 33 days. So we'll have to see how this year plays out in terms of temperature and heat. As you head out the door tomorrow, very similar to today, we'll see temperatures in those mid to upper 80s. You might want to pack a sweater as you head out the door, but pack that tank top as well because things will heat up quite rapidly. There also will be some high-level clouds as well as some winds tomorrow, so make sure to keep that in mind. Nothing too crazy, but come Friday, winds will be something on your mind. We'll see winds in the teens to 20-degree gust range, so you want to make sure that, you plan ahead just in case those winds affect you and your day. For the next 3 days, we actually are seeing 88 degrees tomorrow. Our record is 91 degrees back in 2016. High level clouds as well. And then that low pressure system and that cold front moves in come Friday, bringing those rain chances for our weekend. But next week, we are back into those average degree marks, back where we know and love it in the month of March. In the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Peyton Major.
I'm Tyler Rolfs. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. We take a look at the fastest growing high school sport in the state of Arizona when we come back.
Your favorite member benefit is getting better and bigger.
This is wonderful.
Over the next year, Passport is adding new shows and doubling the number of episodes for you to stream.
They give us all that they've got.
From your favorite cooking and travel series.
Even the stairs are breathtaking.
To history specials and award-winning documentaries. Better and bigger.
That really is the fun part.
Stream on any device with Passport on the PBS Video app.
Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Tyler Rolfs, and this is your Cronkite Sports Report. Major League Baseball announced the cancellation of the first 2 series of the season after they failed to reach a new labor deal. Negotiations between the owners and players union broke off yesterday. This means the regular season will be delayed by at least a week. For the Diamondbacks, this means they'll miss road series against the Milwaukee Brewers and Los Angeles Dodgers. They're now set to begin the season at home on April 7th against the San Diego Padres. Although with no labor deal in place, that date could be pushed even later. Meanwhile, Diamondbacks minor leaguers continue to prepare for their seasons. They'll be playing this year no matter what happens with the Major League negotiations. Slade Ciccone is excited to get back into the rhythm of the season.
Till towards the end before I came back to Arizona that it wasn't coming out the same. And when I came back for the fall league, I wasn't expecting to be coming out throwing 98 miles an hour because I was coming off something. I was more just focused on, getting my mechanics smooth and repeatable, getting everything, where it needs to be to go into the offseason to where I can get my strength back.
Some good news for Arizona sports fans, though, came yesterday when the University of Arizona clinched the Pac-12 men's basketball regular season title. The Wildcats are currently ranked as the second best team in the country by the Associated Press. They did it in a dominating fashion, defeating 16th ranked USC by a score of 91-71. For a team that struggled to put up points against Colorado, it was a big boost prior to what should be a strong NCAA tournament bid. Arizona gets set to close out the regular season against Stanford and Cal before playing the Pac-12 tournament in Las Vegas. The Suns are looking to bounce back tonight against the Trailblazers after going 1-2 since the All-Star break with Chris Paul out. They'll also be without star guard Devin Booker due to health and safety protocols. Paul injured his right thumb before the break, but even though he is out, he is still getting himself involved with the team.
He's usually telling me what he sees or certain situations that we can, walk through and in practice so that we can be better going forward. It's always something to help the team. That's just Chris. He's talking to me, he's talking to the assistants, he's talking to the players. And he just has a high care factor.
The Cardinals announced big-time contract extensions, but not the ones you may have expected. Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury and general manager Steve Keim are staying in Arizona. Both Keim and Kingsbury signed contract extensions this morning that would go through 2027 after the team went 11-6, making it to the playoffs for the first time since 2015. Keim will be heading into his 10th season with the organization, and Kingsbury will be heading into his 4th. This year marks the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Since the law passed, there have been more opportunities for girls to compete in high school sports. Cronkite News reporter Hayden Weber takes a look at one of Arizona's fastest growing girls' sports.
Few sports draw emotion from fans, coaches, and athletes like wrestling. For just the second year, girls competed in the AIA State Wrestling Championships. Sophomore ANDEE Anderson is one of BASHA's brightest young stars. She fell just short in her state championship match in the 120-pound division, but knows a title is within her grasp.
Well, I'm gonna get first at state next year, hopefully. So that's my goal, and maybe the Olympics one day. Who knows?
Anderson is one of over 800 girls across 166 schools competing in girls wrestling in Arizona. Her coach Michael Garcia led BASHA to the inaugural state title in 2021 before capturing the Division I Section 5 title this year. And although the pandemic brought a dip in participation, more schools competed in the sport this year than ever before.
But the numbers continue to grow, and I see it getting even bigger in the next 5 to 10 years.
More participation brings more exposure to the sport. For girls like Anderson, wrestling was a great option to other sports she tried as a kid.
I'm not really athletic. I tried all the girly sports, if you will. I tried gymnastics, I tried cheer. Wasn't very good at it.
Wrestling runs in the Anderson family. Andy's father, Stetson, is the current boys and girls wrestling head coach at Westwood High School. While he and Andy share a passion for the sport, Stetson prefers to separate being a coach from being a dad.
It's nice. It's nice being able to sit back and like this last weekend at the state tournament, just to sit back and watch your kid go out there and perform, not having any stress.
By the time her high school career ends, Anderson hopes to get an offer to wrestle in college. For now, she's inspiring others as a pioneer in this growing sport. In Phoenix, Hayden Weber, Cronkite News.
And it was a dramatic night for high school basketball players around the Valley. The 5A state championships crowned 2 champions, including a first-time winner. On the boys' side, Centennial High School won their first ever state title, defeating Gilbert 46-39. The Coyotes finished the game on an 18-1 run in their dramatic victory. The Millennium girls team won their 4th straight state title with a 46-28 win over Flowing Wells, the same team they beat last year. The 6A state championship games take place tonight. That's all for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Molly.
The price of rent is continuing to increase across the country. After the break, we'll tell you which Arizona city ranked in the top 10 for highest rent prices.
Cronkite News is more than your local news station. Through our innovative ideas, we create new ways to connect with our viewers and have their stories be heard. Our cutting-edge technology allows us to take a deeper dive into seeking the truth and delivering new perspectives. Stay up to date on top Arizona stories anytime on TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook at Cronkite News.
It's prime time on your time. Watch Prime Afternoons every weekday on Arizona PBS. Did you miss a show in the evening? Then catch up on Prime Afternoons, your favorite dramas.
No more bloody heroics.
Antiques Roadshow.
Really?
Nature and Nova.
It's time to reintroduce some wonder into this miracle of nature.
All of the best from PBS on Prime Afternoons. Weekdays starting at 1:30, only on Arizona PBS.
Every day I wake up, my first thought is, how can I serve this community?
The biggest hurdle was not taking PTSD personally.
Would you welcome, please, the amazing.
Everybody that watches this, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
Here we go, lights up. Whoa.
As artists, we conduct our educations in public. You can never know whether it's going to be a success. One just has to risk it.
It's you and the work and the place. It's a very particular relationship.
Here's our lens. Tell us what you think.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
Looking to move to Scottsdale? Well, you may be paying more than normal for rent. According to a report done by Zumper, Scottsdale made the top 10 for most expensive one-bedroom rent prices. Scottsdale was number 10 on the list, with New York City taking the top spot. According to the report, the average rent for a one-bedroom is $1,950 per month. The report showed the average rent across the country is at an all-time high in February, growing 1.4% since January. Zumper says Phoenix rent is seeing a 30% yearly rent growth.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.